Glad you came back for part 2 of this motocross build. This video is going to be the most raw I've ever made. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And to update you, this is what we're building. In the first episode, we laid the foundation for this massive motocross diorama. I built the base frame, cut the plywood, and got the structure locked in. It was the start of something way bigger than I imagined. Now, in part 2, we're taking it further, step by step. For this video, I've cut 9 hours of clips down into about 30 minutes, so you can follow along with every step. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's keep building this diorama together. Welcome to Blending Realities. I'm starting this part by shaping out the jumps that have already cured. This is a technique I've been using on all my motocross dioramas. I laser cut the outline of the jump, then fill it with joint foam. Once it's cured and locked into place, it's super easy to cut out and shape, and honestly, it's a pretty satisfying step. Okay, so here's the issue. The jump have moved back and up, so it looks bigger than it is, as it should be. So let's do it. What I'm trying to say and show here is that the joint foam I added when I built this jump expanded so much that it displaced the jump slightly. So it looked higher than it should. I cut off the whole jump, removed the leftovers from the foam, and put it back in place again. Much better. Come on. It's an empty bottle, but I hope I could get out some that much I need to just glue it. Yeah, that actually worked out really well. Always nice when a fix comes together that smoothly. I'm happy with how it turned out, and now I can continue progressing with other parts. There'll be more adjustments along the way, but for now it feels good to move forward. The jumps are really stable, and you can see that here because I'm able to go at them with a machine sander instead of just by hand. It's solid enough to take it, and that makes the shaping process so much faster. We let the filler dry overnight. It's pretty, there is some spots that are not dry yet. What I'm looking for is to get as smooth surface as possible, but not too smooth. We are going to finalize this layer. I will sand this jump down, make it more smooth. Going over the track layout with a sanding paper to make all these details much finer, so it doesn't look this rough. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time until we are finished. When I started editing this video, the number of hours cut down on just sanding is quite remarkable. It's honestly too many hours. I think I spent more time sanding than actually building the track, but I guess that's part of the process.
Thanks a lot for watching this video. If you're enjoying videos like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That is the easiest way to help me out creating more builds like this. You might be wondering what this foam is. It's actually joint foam, usually used for insulation in house construction, like filling gaps and cracks. But honestly, I think it can be used for way more than that. For me, it's one of the most powerful materials in these builds. It's super easy to shape exactly how I want it. And at the same time, it can even lock elements into place. Simple stuff, but it works like magic here. At this point, I was in a really good flow, and in my mind, it felt like I was almost done. Everything just moved forward so easily. But of course, there's no such thing as a flawless build. That would be way too strange. And, well, this is what happened next. Okay guys, and a little setback for the first time for this build. I have to redo the track layout. It says they had changed it a bit from last year. I was almost done with the track layout and should continue with fillers on the whole track. I have cut out new pieces of the track to assembly on the old one. So that's what we are going to do. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm not exactly thrilled about this. Finding out that the track layout is wrong, yeah, that stinks. It's one of those moments where your brain just goes, really? After all that work? But then, that's building. And the more time you spend on projects like this, the more you realize mistakes are just part of the ride. I try to see it this way. I actually get the chance to do it better. It's not easy in the moment. Feels like wasted hours. But it's not wasted if the end result improves. The good news is, fixing this isn't impossible. And maybe that's what makes the build satisfying in the end. Getting the new track layout covered up feels like such a relief. That section really slowed me down for a while, but now it finally feels like things are moving again. Sometimes it's just about pushing through the tough parts, and this one was definitely one of them. In my previous dioramas, I built the berms out of paper mache, just water and glue mixed together so I could shape them into motocross berms. It worked, but this time I tried out my so-called magic material instead. And honestly, this is the way to do it. It came out perfect on the very first try.
It's actually Saturday today, and it's starting to look very, very good. But there is a lot of details that are very time consuming. I have figured out when I actually started to deal with the scale models, and I don't think it's 1 to 86. I have done a calculation on something else. So it's actually a scale of 1 to 150. When I started to work with the scale models like this Caterpillar, I recognized that the track is almost 6 meters wide in real life. Machine is about 3.1 meter in real life. So the track should be the double size of this Caterpillar, but it's not. It's almost the same. So I have been calculating and drawing some buildings in the correct scale, and I have now seen the right scaling of this. So 1.150 is the correct scale of everything. I'm on good progress, but it's a lot of hours left to make this done.
At the same time as I'm thinking about all the hours ahead to make this complete, it's exciting, almost all the way. I can already picture some of the visuals I'll be able to create with this setup, just because of the size. Normally I work tighter, smaller angles, but here I get to create wide landscape views. That's new for me, and honestly that's what keeps me motivated. Every time I add a new layer of filler and dab it out with the sponge, the piece changes a little. You start to get that texture, the surface smooths out, and suddenly it doesn't feel like a block of foam anymore. At this stage, I can almost picture the final track. Most of the shapes are already there, just waiting for the details. This tabletop jump was a bit too high, and instead of tearing it out and rebuilding, I just hit it with the sander. Turns out that was the smart move. Leveled it down, kept the shape, and saved myself a bunch of hours. Honestly, it feels like sanding is the only thing I do in this project. To realize I've reached the stage where I can finally apply the first droplets of color, it's just insane. For me, that's always the moment things change. Up until now, it looks like a pile of foam and dust. Kind of a mess. But the second I start adding color, the diorama begins to come alive in a completely different way. Before I could start painting the ground, I had to figure out the texturing on the track. Things like ruts from the dirt bikes. I ended up finding this tiny drill bit, and it worked out super well. So I just went over the whole track, drawing the ruts by hand. It's kind of meditative in a way, just carving little lines that later will look like hundreds of bikes have been through. Small detail, but it makes a huge difference once the paint is on.
I've been thinking and have been looking at the video clips from the actual track, and I'm not super happy with the color choice. I will repaint it with a brighter color to hide some of the redness in this. Today, before I go home, I will go over the whole track with some color. Since now it's very hard to see the details and everything, since it's different in white and gray, so it looks more messy than it actually is. But I'm super happy with the texture. The texture on the track went out super nice with a small drill. It's a huge step for this build to actually apply the first colors. Let's get to work, and I'm super happy about this.
So this is the second layer of color going on. And right away it makes the whole piece look way better. But it's not just about looks. It also reveals where I still need to work more. Some parts are rough, some need extra sanding or a bit more filler to smooth things out. That's why I love this stage. The paint almost tells you what to fix next. It feels like a big step forward, even though I know there's still a long way to go.
Yesterday we painted the whole piece with a base color, and I think it's turned out really well. This color is matching the environment much more, but in this case it's very good to have a base layer on, since we can adjust some of the parts that I'm not really satisfied with. There is a lot of scratches and parts that can be improved. So I will go over the piece with filler one more time, just small spots. We have one part left here that I made fillers for yesterday. We will make some texture on the uphill and in the corner. So that's what's left for the base layer and texturing. I will show you here what I'm not satisfied with. There is some spots here that are shine through, and we have some cracks here and there and there, and that's in general here. We will try to smooth out some of this, but overall it looks very nice.
There's a really good feeling in this stage. For the mind, it's so much easier to focus on improving things rather than having to repair or fix mistakes. Even if it overlaps the base color a bit, it still makes the whole piece look better.
Okay, so I went over the track one more time, and as you can see, I filled a lot of gaps, and I think I will do another round. I don't know, I'm not satisfied with the environment at all, especially on this part here. It's very rough, but the track looks very smooth. I made some ruts here, so yeah.
The sanding has really been a thing for me at this stage. There are just so many little imperfections popping up. So I decided to take the sander and go over a big section all at once. It feels like a lot of extra work right now, but it really pays off later when the colors go on. That's the moment you see why all this sanding was worth it.
Okay, we have almost covered the new layer. The problem is I already seen a lot of new ones that I will cover up. So I don't know how to actually manage this problem. I could probably do this forever and find pieces that not are good enough. So
Somewhere around here, I got a bit obsessed with filling gaps, just going over everything until I was really satisfied with how it looked. For me, the main goal with this build is simply that it has to look really good in the end. Nothing else matters. And honestly, doing the job now saves so much time later when I'm filming the visual shots. It's way easier to smooth out the surface at this stage than trying to hide flaws in post-production. I've also printed some of the details from the real track. Here I cut out a small section of the side of a jump to place a flagger's stand. A pretty important safety detail, and it really looks the part. In this case, it's 3 tractor wheels, just like on the actual track. I'll just add some filler around them and smooth it out so everything blends together nicely. Now that the base layer is fully dry, I'm going over just the track road with a top color to make it stand out. It gives the dirt a worn look, as if bikes have already been riding through here. I'm keeping it in the same color palette, just with a darker tone, and it really does some magic for the whole environment. These track markers might be tiny, but they make a huge difference. They don't just add another layer of detail, they also help with the scale of the whole piece. It's the little things like this that make it easier for the eye to catch the magic, especially later when this diorama transforms into full landscape shots. Here's another little detail I really like. I'm using super thin plywood, just 0.4 millimeters. It's so thin, but it works perfectly for these beach flags. I paint them with an ink pen and the wood just absorbs the color right away. Pretty much all of these details on the track, except the vehicles, are made with my laser cutter. I'd say I spent about 90% of my time in that machine creating props. Here you can see me cutting out the finish line. Even that one is done in 0.4 millimeter plywood. In this view, the appearance of me is starting to look a bit strange, because the eye is now beginning to translate the diorama into an environment. And that's exactly what I want. This finish line sign really does its job in making the whole scene feel alive. We're now focusing on the details, adding fences around the track to make it feel even more complete. Like the other pieces, I'm working with the same thin plywood, and it really ties everything together. All these elements that we add now may feel small, but when we can see them all together later, it will make it complete. The next stage was adding more weathering around the track. It just felt too simple, too unadorned, so I darkened some sections and adding the base for some of the grass areas around the diorama. Even if it's a desert track, there are always a few patches of grass in real life, and I wanted to bring that in. It's nothing fancy at this stage, just the first layer, but it already makes the whole thing feel less empty. These little hints of green really help the eye connect with the landscape, and it's details like this that slowly transform it into something believable. I'm always a bit concerned when working in such a tiny scale, because every detail has to be spot on, but in this case most of it will be seen from a distance, which makes it much more forgiving. These bushes, for example, up close they look a little rough, maybe even bold, but as soon as you zoom out they blend right in and look exactly the way they should. Details like this prize ceremony backdrop usually mean the end is getting really close. Putting time into these funny little pieces isn't exactly necessary, but it feels more like a celebration. And honestly, it turned out pretty cool. Plus, it's a replica, so of course it has to be there. Last but not least, I made the outdoor stadium lights. They're a crucial detail for this environment. I marked them up so I could split the colors into gray and red. The build itself was simple, just a wooden rod with some printed light heads glued on top. Nothing fancy, but it does the job and really completes the scene. I want to thank you so much for staying all the way to the end of this build. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support my work and it truly means a lot. This project has been a massive journey. Hours of sanding, shaping and details. All coming together right here. It's just me in the workshop, but sharing it with you makes it worth every minute. And now, here's the final reveal.